Hello. A very good morning to all present here today. Hello. Very good morning to all. Welcome to today's webinar, Effective Leadership Corporate Dynamics, Part 1 of the series. Thank you for taking time out and being here today. We are just waiting for a few more participants to join us and we'll begin shortly. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the Effective Leadership webinar, Part 1 of the series of Corporate Dynamics. Mission Skills is an initiative by Nest Academy for encouraging the aspiring young minds to develop and enhance their next-gen skills. This initiative is taken for the youth across the country of various colleges and institutions. I'm very glad to announce that we've received a very overwhelming response for this webinar. Over the past few weeks, the world has seen a paradigm shift in the working and learning styles of young professionals. It is quite evident that with the changing times, one needs to upgrade it, your own skill sets and how you would be working in a corporate environment, getting ready for the post-pandemic situation. So, keeping that in mind, education and skill development is a continuous process. Learning never stops, as they say. So now is the time to develop the interest and aptitude to learn about the new tools and the skills. And I'm very glad that today we have with us Mr. Suyog Dubey to give us some light on leadership skills. Mr. Suyog Dubey has an experience of over 14 years working with international businesses. He's worked in the areas of market research, business strategy, sales, and business development. He has an MBA and he is currently working with a Japanese multinational trading company. He has been he has been having a international exposure and opportunity to lead a team of individuals from various backgrounds. I'm very happy to have you today with us, sir. Suyog, sir, I would welcome you to please take over the session.
Um, Thank you, Ms. Neha, for the introductory um talk. And I'm really pleased to be a part of this noble initiative, which has been jointly promoted by Nest Academy as well as B. Kabila Foundation Group.
Our pleasure, sir.
So I hope every one of you, I believe around 450 odd participants are, I could currently see in this webinar. So I hope that all of you are taking good care of yourself in the current pandemic. And I hope you are taking good care of yourself, plus maintaining good hygiene and social distancing. So of course, the time is difficult, but as we say that tough times don't last, but tough people do. So as we move forward, the today's presentation is on leadership skills. And we will be talking more about this in the next 1 hour or so. So let me start off with a small poll which has been conducted, which has been on your screen right now, which says that who, according to you, is the most sought after business leader in the current business scenario? And the options are Ratan Tata, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, Mr. Azim Premji from the Wipro Group, and Mr. Anand Mahindra from Mahindra and Mahindra Corporation. So I'll take maybe 30 more seconds to wait for the final verdict to come on the screen. And it's quite evident that Mr. Ratan Tata is leading.
Yes, a lot of people are still voting for it, and we'll just share the results soon.
So leadership has been quite a talked about topic in all the managerial business schools. A lot of people talk about developing and wanting to develop leadership as a skills. So let's see how things turn up in the subsequent timelines. So I could see that Mr. Ratan Tata unanimously is leading. All right. So what, according to all of you, would be the reason why Mr. Ratan Tata is the most sought after leader? So in Indian business scenario, if we talk about integrity, if we talk about work ethics, the first team that comes to our mind is the Tata Group. The Tata Group is a conglomerate which is into diversified business verticals, right from making steel to making automobiles to developing softwares and so on and so forth. But out of all these things, the main driving force behind the Tata Group progress is all thanks to Mr. Ratan Tata's uh, visionary approach over the years. So, as I said, visionary is one of the verbs that can be adjectives which can be effectively used for Mr. Ratan Tata. We have seen that how visionary he has been in all those years. So when he started working for the Tata Group, when during his early days, he wanted to develop and increase the business of the Tata Group to overseas market as well. So during his tenure, Tata Group was only concentrating towards developing the business in India only. But due to his vision, he had a vision of developing the businesses on on the global basis as well. So initially, his decision was quite ridiculed, but as we all know where the Tata Group is all thanks to the vision from Mr. Ratan Tata. He is also known for his humility. So when the 26/11 attacks happened in Mumbai, Mr. Ratan Tata was the first one to visit all the members of the Tata Group who had suffered during the attack. So he is known for knowing the first name of his important employees by their first names. So this is how the humility portion of Mr. Ratan Tata is what makes him today. He is also a risk taker. This thing is quite substantiated by the fact that Tata Group has successfully acquired Jaguar and Land Rover. So these were the two brands, the global brands, which had the market cap much bigger than what the Tata Motors had. But he had the risk, he had the vision, and the rest is history. We all know that most of the Tata Motors profit margins are actually coming from Jaguar and Land Rover these days. He also took the risk of acquiring a much bigger steel company called Chorus way back in 2010s, which again shows the risk-taking abilities of Mr. Ratan Tata. We know how understanding and how inspiring he is. He is the one who inspires confidence. He is the one who inspires and propagates the idea of the ethics and values of Tata Groups to all the people downstream. So he is the one who understands and inspires people. He is a key decision maker. And of course, you cannot miss the charm and charisma that Mr. Ratan Tata exhibits from the way he talks, by the way he talks, by the way he walks, by the way he dresses up, by the way he addresses his people. So all these things collectively enhances the charisma of the very personality. So I also am a strong advocate of the fact that Mr. Ratan Tata is the most sought after business leader in today's Indian business scenario. So the question arises, are leaders born or are leaders made? So this is a question that has been quite deliberately argued over time and again. So, but the business leaders are not someone who just come out of the lightning thunder strike. They are the ones who continuously enhance their business skills. Of course, they also have some kind of inborn qualities, but over the period of time, it is very important for you guys to inculcate the habits, to observe people, to have habits which makes you a good business leader. There's a certain level of observation, there's a certain level of self-realization, there's a certain level of confidence, certain level of experiences, which helps you to make a better leader. So I would say that there is no black and white answer to the fact that are leaders born or are leaders made. So I would just like to add up to the fact that uh, how the leaders are born or made. So on the top left-hand side, on the left-hand side bottom, you can see that 10% of the people out of the total bell curve, which is 100% capacity. So it says that 10% of the people are basically non-performance. So no amount of motivation, no amount of pampering, no amount of education, no amount of training will help them.
Oh, sir, sorry to interrupt, but your presentation is not visible to the audience. So the bell curve that you're mentioning, the audience is currently not able to see that.
How about the previous slide, this one?
No, sir, the screen is not shared.
So
Yes, now visible, sir. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we can make that a full screen. That will be okay.
Yeah, sure. All right. So is it visible now?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
I'm so sorry for that.
No problem.
So just to so this was all about the points that I had just shared with you. He's a visionary. He has a charisma. He is a good decision maker. He understands and inspires people. He acts confidently. He is a risk taker, and he is known for humility. So all these 7-8 characteristics, and I'm sure he would have ample amount of hundreds and thousands of more and more leadership qualities that sets him apart from the other ones. So I'll not take much of time on this particular site. Okay, so are leader born or are leaders made? So this was the slide that I was talking to you about. So there is no black and white answer to the fact that whether the leaders are born or are they made. So I would like to give you the presentation on a bell curve, which shows that this is what the 100% of population is all about. These are the 10% of the people to whom no amount of training, no amount of education, no amount of any skills can help them to excel in their life. This is the top performers who are almost 10 to 20% of the people who are born leaders. So they have certain traits, they have certain qualities which are inborn. So over a period of time, they are the ones who have developed the skills that they have already inherited. Someone like all the major ones like Ratan Tata or the national leadership or under the able guidance of Mr. Narendra Modi, or you take it Mr. Bill Gates or Vijay Shekhar Sharma from the Paytm. So I have numerous examples to quote these people who are the high performers, but they are the ones who have inculcated and who have developed over a period of time. So of course, God has gifted them with some certain uh, qualities, but you cannot be just relaxed and can't do anything but keep on honing your skills. So this is the major average performers, people like you and me, people like the average performers who form the 70 or to 80% of the bell curve, who are the ones who have the abilities to become a good leader in the business scenario. So we are the ones who have the capabilities, we have the skills to excel ourselves in the times and uh, go from average performance to the top performers. So that's the good news about leadership, that you may or may not be born with a certain qualities, but you can always make it a point that to hone your skills to make it uh, change from average performers to the top performers. So you need to have certain level of observation, as I explained to you. You need to have certain level of experience, intelligence, so that, and you also need to have a vision, so that you can see things which a normal average performer cannot see. So when you are a notch above these people, people will automatically come to you and would give you the power to become a leader. So people will naturally look upon to you as a born leader. Of course, you may or may not be, but over a period of time, you can actually be a good leader. So there are multiple ways of being of becoming a leader. You can be elected, you can be selected, you can work it out, you can pull other people down, or you can have the vision to be able to see what other people cannot see. So this is what can differentiate between you and the rest of the performers, right? So you need to take a charge about things, and you need to be proactive in your approach, and people will look upon to you as a good leader who can do things in a much perfect manner. So currently we are undergoing a pandemic, which is COVID-19. I know everyone is quite pissed off with the fact that the economic scenario of the global economy is bad. People are getting pay cuts, people are losing their jobs, people are moving to their hometown, which is far, far away. Uh, they don't have any proper means of transportation. They don't have sanitary facilities, no food, no water. So there's there's a lot of negativity, which is pushing us to a deep hole. So during this difficult times, there are leaders from the political arena, there are people from the business arena who are actually lending their helping hands and helping people out to come out of this depravity, come out of this negativity. So I would like to share a video of the famous movie Bahubali, which I'm sure everyone would have definitely seen. That's a famous scene from the movie Bahubali. Can we have the video, please? All right, thank you for the video. So, of course, everyone would have seen this movie, and of course, the sequel as well. I myself have seen it multiple times. So, but this is one of the scenes which I watch many a times, because this is a scene that that gives me a lot of positivity in all the negative times that we have been surrounded with. So the background of this scene is that Maheshmati is almost on the verge of defeat, and the the soldiers are the soldiers are running out to save their lives.
Sir, we are not able to see the screen. You will have
Yeah,
to.
I'm just showing it to you. Okay. So the soldiers are running to save their lives. The soldiers are running to save their whatever little they have been left with. And amongst all this negativity, which I would like to correlate with the global pandemic for COVID-19. So we see that Bahubali is taking the charge as a leader. He is taking the charge and motivating his fellow soldiers, motivating his people to come and fight for the pride of the motherland. So he is the one who is taking the initiative. He is the one who is taking who is installing faith that yes, we can and we will be able to defeat the enemy if we all fight together. And I'm the one who is going to take the lead. I'm the one who is going to fight it back. I'm the one who is going uh, to take the pride back for my motherland. So all thanks to his motivational speech, we see that all the people, they have renewed faith, they have renewed enthusiasm, and they go back fighting to the enemies. So and of course, if you see during the end of this entire scene, which I have not included, we see that their mother, Shiv Gamini, she gives the throne to Bahubali rather than giving it to Bhalal Dev. Bhalal Dev, of course, he won the battle. He was the one who killed the Asur, but still the king, the throne of the king was given to Bahubali for the simple reason that, of course, he was fighting with the enemy, but he also had the empathy. He also had the soft corner towards their fellow people who were caught in the crossfire between the heroes and the villains. So he took a concise approach. He took a pre-notified approach and saved the lives of the common villagers as well. So as a leader, you don't need to be just winning the battle. You also need to take a holistic view of the complete battle scenario, wherein you have to defeat the enemy. Also, you have to take care of the economic scenarios. Also, you have to take care of the livestock, the people who are not involved, the villagers, everyone. So it has to have a holistic approach to make you a successful leader. So correlating Bahubali's heroics to today's parlance, we see that our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, he has been quite actively involved in giving speeches, in motivating the healthcare workers, motivating the paramilitary forces, the police, leaving no stone unturned to fight with the corona pandemic. And of course, if you see the corporate scenario also, you would find that people from all walks of the industry, they have been hand-holding their employees. They have been walking the extra mile to make them feel comfortable from all this negativity. Many good companies, they have not cut down on the pay salaries. They are all the more giving them extra benefit, extra bonuses to work with full enthusiasm and to fight this global pandemic. They have been doing all sorts of medical expenditure. We have been giving them transportation facilities and all sorts of facilities to take care of their employees and handhold them. So this is another point of view of showing empathy as a business leader towards all your fellow co-workers. So, what are the top 10 leadership characteristics of a good leader? So, this was a very interesting research done by Harvard Business Review, wherein there were 195 global leaders from across 30 countries and approximately 70 to 80 companies who have been requested to rate top 74 qualities of a business leader. And here is what the responses are. So I believe having the responses from top 195 global leaders, you would be able to understand the importance, what they think about uh, the characteristics of a top leader. So almost 67% of the people, they had ranked ethical and moral standards as the first ranker, which says that strong ethics and safety of the people is the top quality that a leader should exhibit. This was followed by self-organizing, which is almost 60%, which says that a leader need to instill clarity of thoughts, clarity of goals, clarity of objectives in his fellow members. Need to communicate clearly with his expectations, what he desires, what he feels about the company in the future to be. And quite a few, many people have rated efficiency in terms of learning. A top leader should nurture growth and the connection and belongingness. So coming back to the poll, Mr. Ratan Tata, I would believe that he is excelling in all these top 5, 6 leadership qualities that we have been seeing on the screen right now. So I would, at this point of time, I would like to just touch upon a small instance wherein in a jungle, if I talk to you about who is the biggest animal, you would say that the elephant is the biggest animal. If I ask you who is the tallest of them all, you would say giraffe. So, which is rightly said. If I ask you who is the fastest animal in the jungle, you would say a cheetah. And the most wisest of them all, so a fox. So if I ask you these different questions upon the strengths, so we have elephant, we have giraffe, we have fox, we have cheetah. But where is the lion? Who is the king of the jungle? A lion need not be the fastest. He may need not be the biggest, the tallest. But a lion is the one who is the one who has a lot of courage. He can see his prey in the eyes. He is the one who is ready to face challenges. He is the one who sees you in the eyes with confidence. So he is the one who is never afraid of anything. So these are all the qualities. Of course, the courage, the strength. Of course, it is needless to say that he is the most strongest of them all. But when I talk to you about so many qualities, the lion doesn't qualify them all. But his courageous act, his selfless, his courageous activities, he's unstoppable. So all these things make a lion the king of the jungle. He is the one who collectively takes the charge as a leader of the jungle, all thanks to his courageous, his different attributes, which makes him what he is. So, so there are certain types of leadership styles which have been quite evident in in today's parlance. So we, of course, there are multiple types of it. I have just jotted down 5 or 6 of them, which is quite uh, relevant in today's leadership styles. Out of these two, I believe the top two, transformational and transactional, are the most important ones which we see on a day-to-day basis. So, what is a transformational leadership style? So, a transformational leadership style is a one is exhibited by a leader who has a vision, who gives you the clarity of thoughts. He gives you the communication clarity. He is the one who gives you free hand to take risk, of course, calculated risk. He is the one who takes the full accountability of all the negatives or the positives, whatever happens in a business scenario. So, of course, if you see that leadership is not about responsibility, it is about how you do things right. So, if you have a leadership quality and if you have the vision to take your organization to the next level, you are one of those transformational speakers. You are one of those transformational leaders who can take it to the next level. So what it is that takes you to be a successful leader? So if you see yourself right from being a child to being a college going student or an adult, we see multiple instances of leadership all around ourselves. We are actually surrounded by leaders in some way or the other. So when you grow up, you have your father who takes care of the entire family, who takes the collective decisions on what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong on behalf of the entire family. So a father is a leader. When you go to your school, you have your monitors. So who are the monitors? They are the one who are developing leadership qualities in their very initial stages. So you need to have a good eye to instill positive leadership styles from people around you. So when we say that a leader, it need not be only a political figure. A leader can be a business leader, he can be a political leader, he can be a person sitting next to you. It can be a product as well. Product leadership is also one of the aspects. So, how to start developing those kind of leadership qualities was a question. So I would say that if you are able to help the person sitting right to you or sitting left to you and help them in their daily jobs, help them with their daily course, and to take care of their ownership. So you can be a very well leader as well in your own parlance. It need not be someone who is sitting at the top, who is sitting as a boss, who can only be a leader. A manager can also be a leader. So you should have an eye of learning from everyone, from every walk of life. It can be your juniors as well. It can be a child as well. A child can exhibit excellent leadership qualities at times. So about transformational, so he is the one who is giving you a free hand, who has the vision, who has the clarity of thoughts, and who can transform the total organization, the total company that he is heading to take it to the next level. Transactional leadership style. So this is what we come across quite often in our daily work daily life. Most of the leaders are actually transactional in their approach, who work within a fixed time frame, who works within a fixed company policy frame, who are only interested in achieving their goal, organization goals. There's nothing right, nothing wrong in different types of leadership skills, but it is just that every person has a different kind of leadership style that he chooses or that he eventually develops over a period of time. Democratic leadership is the one wherein you take unanimous decisions from many people. As we say in democracy, we have multiple stakeholders who take collective decisions. Bureaucratic leadership style is mostly in the civil services, wherein you have your bureaucratic approach, you have top-to-down approach to the leadership style. Authoritarian leadership style is something which is one way. I, as a boss, I, as a leader, tell you to do this, so you have to do this no matter what. You are not supposed to question me. This is what authoritarian leadership style is all about. And last is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire and democratic is one and the almost same. There's a thin line between them. But here again, there is a collective decision making which is done by even the managerial levels, the bosses level, the upper management. So a complete holistic view of the decision is taken, and which eventually transforms into a final decision to be taken in the interest of the company. So as Ms. Neha has highlighted during the starting of the presentation, I have been working with different conglomerates, different MNCs, different multinationals over the past 14 years. And having worked with a multinational company that were Japanese, it offers me ample amount of opportunities to exhibit my leadership style. I would say every day I learn something or the other. Every day is a challenge for us. For being a salesperson, the market is very dynamic. The dynamics of the world is changing almost every day. 2 months back, we didn't have Corona. Today, the world economy is grappling under a tough time. So no one had this kind of anticipation because of the uncertainty that the business scenario offers. So over the past 14, 15 years, these are the 7 or 8 leadership qualities that I have been trying best to inculcate in myself. Of course, 14 years is not too small, not too big. I think a lot of time is yet to come for me. But I would really be very happy to share my leadership skills, what I have developed, the qualities that I have developed over a period of time. And being undergrads, being postgrads, I think it's a very good time for you all guys to start inculcating positive habits. Start learning from everyone else. Start learning. Everyone has something or the other. We all are gifted with the same qualities. It's just that the little bit here or there that sets apart us from the other people. So first and foremost, integrity, honesty. Working for a Japanese company, working for a Japanese conglomerate, integrity is very, very important. Japanese, they value transparency and integrity and honesty too much. So this is one thing that I have learned as a person working in a conglomerate. So integrity is something which sets you apart from other people. Second is be comfortable in your own skills. You should be able to understand that, yes, this is what I am. I cannot imitate someone else. I cannot be trying to imitate someone else. I can only take their qualities. I cannot be you. You cannot be me. So you have to be very comfortable in your own skills. You know your traits. You know your positive aspects, you know your negative aspects. Work on your positives, work on your negatives, and be comfortable in your own skills. Never try to imitate others. Deliver with passion. With this challenging environment we have been facing every day, which is quite difficult. So whatever you do, you need to do with a lot of passion. But for this passion, you need to be in sync with the ethics, uh, with the values of the company as well. So until and unless you have the better understanding of the company, what their vision is, what their values are, you will be able to deliver. You will be happy to deliver with passion. You will be happy in doing whatever you are doing right now. Uh, don't be afraid to experiment. So in between this 14 years, I also had an opportunity to be a co-founder of a startup, and uh, the startup was into branding and marketing strategies. So I was just attending um, one of the seminars on leadership conducted by Harvard Business School in Delhi. So I was really uh, amazed with a couple of facts, and it instantly gave me a couple of business ideas. So once the seminar the seminar ended, I immediately called up my co-founder partner, and I told him that, boss, we need to do this right now. We need to inculcate this in our business scenario right now. So of course, we had a lot of deliberations, but I was very firm. I was very okay to do the experiment on this thing. And I took the full ownership of, if anything goes good, if anything goes bad, I was the one who was fully responsible, fully accountable in whatever the outcome may be. So a manager, a leader, does not only take the credit of the positive things, the positive outcomes. He should be ready to be comfortable in accepting failures as well. So I don't want, of course, business is all about calculated risk. So you should not be afraid to experiment, to take risk. But of course, risk has to be calculated one, not that your emotions guide you. Your heart and your brain should work in coherence to take the calculated risk. Stay calm under pressure. There are multiple instances wherein you have tremendous pressure of concluding a deal, but the odds are against you. But if you lose on your nerves, you ought to go, you would be definitely left empty-handed. So all you need to do is stay calm, stay focused, whatever situation may be. Under pressure, you need to have your stress management skills on the point, stay calm, and stay focused. Empowering others and take collective responsibility. So, working in a Japanese company, working for a startup, I had quite a few number of people, 10 to 15, reporting to me directly, indirectly, depending on the market. So I have been responsible uh, for leading a team of multicultural person, people from different ethnic background, people from different culture, people from different countries, people who have different mindsets, who have different abilities, different positives. But as a true leader, uh, my job is to make everyone enthusiastic, everyone passionate about what they are doing. Uh, of course, working with people from different languages, different from different cultures, different nationalities, it does have a lot of difficulties, but a leader is all about facing difficulties and facing challenges and delivering the outcomes uh, with passion. So leading a team of people also helps me to learn a lot from them. As I said to you earlier in the presentation, that people have different skill sets. You can learn anything from anyone. So you should always keep your eyes and ears open. Talk less, listen more, have good listening abilities. Of course, as a true leader, you ought to have a lot of good communication skills, a lot of good speaking skills, but at the same time, listening skills, observation skills is also very, very important. And take time to train your brain. Your brain is a wonderful, wonderful thing that God has gifted you with. So we have been using a minuscule percentage of its full capabilities. So you need to give time to your brain, to train your brain to understand what your positives are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what are your areas of concerns, what are areas of improvements. You need to analyze, you need to have self-realization about the things that you can do and things that you cannot do. Of course, for things that you cannot do, you need to have a positive approach to that, how to deal with it. So as a leader, you cannot be just saying that, sorry, I don't know this, so I will not do this. So this is where the leadership qualities will take your exam, take your test about how well you take help from your fellow members, how comfortable you are, as I told to you, how happy you are to collaborate with the person sitting left to you, the person sitting right to you, because you may never know who can help you out with at any given point of time. If you're self-reliant, kudos to you. But I believe that no one is self-reliant. You always need to help other people to take help from them. So taking help from them can only happen if you help them, right? So take your time, read a lot of books, attend creative seminars, attend workshops, train your mind to do positive things, train your mind to understand, self-analyze yourself, and take good care of yourself. So a leader is the one who knows the way, who goes the way, and he shows the way. So if you are lacking any one of them, then I would like to give you a caution that for being a leader, you need to have all these three qualities and be successful in your life. So this is all about the leadership. So leadership is all about teamwork, how you motivate your team, how you motivate your fellow members, developing competence. As I told to you, you need to invest time, energy, and efforts in developing skills of yourself as well as your fellow members. So we as a team collectively will be able to excel, will be able to achieve the vision of the company, will be able to achieve the set target. You need to put in efforts to enhance your skills. With leadership, a lot of responsibility comes. So you have to be responsible if any negative outcome comes or if there is any positive outcomes, more than happy to take it. But if there is negative, you should be more than eager as an able leader to take the collective responsibility. Communication is very, very important for a team to excel, for a leader. So having a good flow of information, having the clarity of thoughts, having a clarity of vision is something which a leader always does. Power and mutual support. Mutual support, as I told to you, help everyone. It may not be possible that you may be able to do everything on your own. You always need people who are good at something which you may not be. So take time, do support everyone, because all these good things in your life always pays you back. All right, so just a quick go through about what is the basic differences between a boss and a leader. We always correlate that a boss is a leader. So may or may not be always true. So a boss is someone who drives the employee, but a leader is someone who coaches them. So a boss he depends on authority. He says, do this, so you have to do this. But a leader creates a goodwill. He takes uh, he takes a collective responsibility and takes collective goodwill and takes a team together. And a boss instills fear, but a leader generates enthusiasm. The boss says I, leader says we. Boss is someone who takes the positive, who always runs away from the negative outcomes. But a leader, no matter good or positive, good or bad, the outcome may be, he is the one who takes the responsibility. The boss says go, the leader says let's go. So that's all from my side, and I'll be open to questions in case you have something to ask me, in case you have any feedback, any positive things, any negative things. I'm free to hear. Thank you so much.
That was a wonderful insight from you, and definitely covering and relating the concept of leadership right from movies to nature to, of course, the corporate world, and covering the types of leaderships, and considering the current scenario. That those have been really good insights, and definitely you also touched upon the global leadership aspect also, because we have a few questions from our audience today, and I would just like to take a few questions. Because of the time constraint, we may not be able to take up all the questions, but a few questions are like, we definitely discussed a lot on the types of leadership and the leadership skills. I'm sure today in the audience we have a lot of students who will be starting to get into the corporate world. They will be starting their corporate journey, or somebody may want to become an entrepreneur. So for the people who are just starting, what would be your tips on suppose it's their first day of the work as a manager or as a leader? So what would how should they go about that?
Okay, so I think very relevant question considering the audience that we have. Uh, Someone who is just entering into the corporate world, I think it is very important for him to be happy with whatever he's doing. So how does happiness come? How does a passion come? So a passion comes with having the clarity, having a good communication with your immediate boss. A boss or a leader, as I told to you. So I think it's too early for anyone to judge whether he is a boss or a leader. But considering that he is a boss, you need to have the clarity of thoughts. You need to have a good communication, a two-way communication, I would say. Listen more from them, because you are a fresher. You have lots of things to learn in the corporate world. So uh, you need to have a lot of listening abilities. Listen to them, what they think about, what is their vision for the team, what is their vision for the complete company as a whole. And when you have the clarity of passion, you have the clarity of thoughts about the mission vision, the mission vision and values of the company. You will be able to correlate yourself. You will be able to align yourself with the company policies. This is what I think is very important. And of course, to sum it up, never ever stop learning. There are ample opportunities around you to always learn. You can learn from your boss, you can learn from your subordinate, you can learn from your fellow people, from a fresher, from anyone else. So keep learning, keep your eyes and ears open.
That's definitely great. Some tips where the people who are just starting off with the jobs, those are definitely some insightful tips, because definitely it's very important to understand the organizational culture and to have that right communication with your peers as well as the reporting person. So just
I'm
continue.
sorry to interrupt. It is also important to have the ownership.
Absolutely.
Whatever job is given to you, you should be putting in more than 100% efforts. Of course, I know it sounds quite cliched to tell you that you should put in 100% efforts, but as I told to you, if you have your yourself aligned to the vision of the company, if you are
Right.
passionate, if you're happy with whatever you are doing, you will be able to do uh, to put in your 100% efforts.
Absolutely. That's
There is no subordinate to hard work. That's for sure. That's what I've learned in my 14-15 year career.
right, sir. Right, sir. Sir, we have another question. That is that some there are a few students who are probably working, or some have been doing internships. Many times it happens that they get a promotion or they get hired by the company because of their hard work and their performance. At that point of time, they are an individual contributor in the company, and then they are probably promoted to managing a team. So what tips would you give them that that phase, that shift of being an individual contributor to somebody leading a team, how should they be handling that?
Uh, so with with leadership, a lot of responsibility, of course, able responsibility comes to you. So if you have just transacted from a follower to a leadership position, a leadership position may not be just that you become CEO of a company or you become the general manager. As I told to you that even if you handled someone, you are a leader in your own aspect. So since my corporate experience offers me a lot of opportunity to travel across the world, there was one instance which I would like to share with you all, that once I was traveling and I saw a person sitting 4 or 5 rows ahead of me. So he was the one, I won't be taking the name, but he was the one who was very humble, who was carrying his own suitcase, who was the one who took the suitcase from the carousel and just went off to the Bay Area. And this was the same person whose video I have watched few years back, flying in charter flights. There are people who are opening doors for him. There are people offering him a cup of tea, a cup of coffee rather. People offering him all the good things, uh, taking him taking happy taking expressing happiness in lifting his suitcases, his bags. But 2 years back, I see him carrying his own suitcase. So it is just that the power is coming to you because of your position. It's not coming to you because what you are. So this is the true inspirational leader who has to who has to have a lot of empathy. You need to have a lot of politeness in your own doing. How well you take your fellow members together, because power is leadership you may have today. Tomorrow you may not be owning that position, but something which is goodwill will take you to places. People will remember you in the times to come, all thanks to your leadership skills and your empathy and the ability that you can take people together with you.
Absolutely, absolutely agree with that, sir. Because humility and empathy is some qualities that definitely the managers, the leaders, they should be imbibing those right from the beginning, because many times it is perceived that as soon as you are a leader in a team, or a leader in a company, or heading a department, it is assumed that you know it all. But definitely, these people are also human, and to err is human. So definitely people need to accept that, and they need to be open to that feedback also. They need to be humbly accepting the negative feedbacks as well.
Yeah,
So
no one knows it all, right? Even the
right,
most powerful person, most powerful leader in the world takes help from 100 different people. Even if you take the example of the president of the United States, he does not know how to make a PowerPoint presentation. I'm just guessing. So he's the one who's taking care of people to write his speeches. He's taking
right,
help from people to make presentations for him,
right.
uh, collating information from across the world. So one person cannot do everything on his own.
Absolutely.
You need to have a collective responsibility. You need to have a collective approach to being a leader, and that is what will excel you in the times to come. And of course, empathy and humility is something which will take you places.
Absolutely, absolutely agreed with that, sir. With this, we also have another question from our audience. They would like to know a few books that you can recommend them, where they can learn something about the great leaders or leadership qualities.
I am a very strong advocate of reading books which are typically autobiographies. So autobiographies, you can have multiple of them. There are people whom you have actually admired. There are people from the political arena, people from the business arena who have their autobiographies, or for that matter biographies, written, and which are available in printed and non e-print uh, manner. So you can actually look into Jack Welch, or you have someone like um, Jack Ma, who is the founder of Alibaba. You have
Right,
a book written on President Trump. So there is an endless list to it. In case you just want to start reading with someone, start reading something which whom you can relate to. Because
right,
something which will help you in the long run to inculcate the habit of reading books. So start with a leader whom you admire most, and then gradually you can then then sky's the limit. There are multiple books available on different leaders across the world.
right. Absolutely. Definitely, they will be making a note of, now they will be putting on their thinking caps, and they will be noting down which are the leaders that they admire, and start hunting for their autobiographies.
It
uh,
is important to know whom you actually appreciate. There are
yeah,
multiple leaders, as I told to you, right from a Paytm to a Boeing to a Microsoft. We have so many leaders, but it is something that you need to have a connect with.
right, right. And I'm very glad that this question came up. I mean, at this point of time, definitely everybody can utilize their time at home by reading something that would
Precisely.
inspire them.
Right, right.
Also, so there's another question that says that you generally have a saying that one must lead by example, and there are people who would be getting into newer position of leadership. So do you think they should be demanding from themselves the same level of dedication and professionalism that they would be expecting from their peers?
Uh, a leader is someone who does himself. You cannot be just expecting something from others which you cannot do. If that is the case, then your subordinates will start questioning you. Of course, as I told to you, you cannot have all the qualities in the world inherited in yourself, but there are certain important characteristics which sets you apart from others. Making a PowerPoint presentation may not make you a leader, but of course, having that attribute, learning that attribute, taking the team together, helping each other, having empathy, taking decision making, having decision making abilities, taking risk, delivering with passion. All these things is something which a leader will definitely exhibit in his own time. So it is not, I would not say it is completely right to expect something which you cannot have in your own life. You need to have something or the other, uh,
Right.
which is setting you apart from the other followers. You being a leader.
Absolutely. Yes. Moving on to the next question, sir. Often managers focus on what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, but rarely the question, the answer that is given is of why. So they don't really answer why this needs to be done, but they just get on to what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Do you think that the employees would be more motivated when they know the reason why that is being done?
All right. Again, a very good question. So this is precisely the difference between the transactional and transitional type of leadership. So as I explained to you, a transactional leader is the one who will show you the way, who will handhold you, and who actually is well aware how to take things forward. So, and he's the one who has the vision rather than just guiding you to do this much or do this much. So, a transformational leader is someone who gives you the holistic view, who understands what my team needs to achieve. And to achieve that, the team needs to have the clarity of thoughts. And the clarity of thought comes from communication about what I want from you as a team to achieve. But what unfortunately we have been seeing day in and day out is more about transitional type of leadership, wherein the leader or the boss is more interested in achieving only this part of the targets.
Correct.
So he's just channelizing his entire energy to achieve this goal
Right.
without understanding why is this goal being achieved. He may himself know, being a leader, but communicating this to down the team is important. And this is where the passion, this is where the happiness for the employee will come to.
Absolutely. Very, very much agreed with that. So, because only when the team would know that, why this needs to be done, when the employees would know. So, definitely that accountability and ownership of doing that task would also come from within rather than, being told that this is to be done.
Hmm.
It would come from within that, yes, this needs to be achieved. So,
Right.
they would be understanding the goals better. A very next question that is connecting to this one is that we see that, like you mentioned, that leaders focus on getting a part of the job done. So most of the time some of the leaders we've seen that they're not very flexible in their approach. So if they have made a decision, they want to stick to that. Is it important for leaders and the future leaders to become more flexible on the decision that they're taking as per the current situation and as per the feedback they're receiving from the peers, from the team members?
So out of all the five types of leadership traits, the leadership styles that I have shared in my presentation, I don't say that this one is right or this one is wrong. Of course, there are quite a few of situational leadership style as well. So at times the leadership style will require you to be autocratic, wherein the decision making is only one way. So so I would say there's nothing right, nothing wrong. It's quite subjective, quite situational based. Uh, certain times, certain timelines, certain time frameworks, or scenarios request you to be an autocratic leader. But you can always have a transition between an autocratic leader or a democratic leader or a transitional leader. So depending on the scenarios, uh, it may be
Right, exactly, agreed, because
keeps on changing. Yeah.
don't have only one style of leadership. It can always be a combination of either of one or two of those leadership.
Precisely.
because they need to be adapting to the situation accordingly, because looking at the current times, the current times have been pretty disturbing for the businesses like you started off with, and it's taking a toll on most of the companies and the staff as well. In these times the stress levels of the employees also increases, the anxiety increases, and generally at this point of time the employees look for some sort of a support and they want to be heard out. So empathy, how important is it for a leader to show during a times of crisis?
I give an example of Mr. Ratan Tata. So he is a live example of how a true leadership exhibits empathy and humility. So uh, uh, a business case or a business scenario needs to be a two-way scenario, right? So you need to have both-way communication. You need to have listening skills as well as uh, uh, speaking skills available. But as you pointed out in your question, empathy is something which takes you high in the long run. It is important for an employer, for a boss, for a leader to exhibit empathy for his fellow members also. So if you take the case of the current pandemic, wherein many companies have actually cut down on the salaries, cut down on the jobs. This is the actual time when the character of a company, the character of a leader is shown. This is a time when you need to handhold and all this negativity. This is a time you need to handhold your employees, understand them, what they think about, understand their pain points, try to find out the solutions to it,
Right.
empathize with them. That's all. That is what will take you uh, to a great heights. So the empathy showed now in difficult times. This will help you to earn the loyalty of your coworkers. And the loyalty, integrity at this point of time is the most important and valuable thing that you can expect from any employee.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in times like these, definitely, the companies would definitely want everybody to stick around, and that would definitely help the company achieving their future goals and
Right.
achieving. So definitely, like a company, the employees, the leaders, the managers should definitely have that healthy working relationship where they can express themselves and be heard out.
Right.
Continuing to that question, we have receiving a lot of questions, and I'm really happy that the students have coming up with really good questions. We have a few questions from our attendees here that in times like when it is a crisis situation or it's a stressful situation, how do you manage the anger? Because you are listening to something from your boss and you are already managing a team, so how that anger management should be balanced?
Okay. So this is something which I have learned in my career span of 15 years. That uh, tough times is something which actually tests the character of an individual. So during the difficult times, during the time when you are uneasy, when you are angry, when you feel the restlessness, this is a time that you need to compose. You need to be calm with yourself. Don't be proactive. Don't be judgmental to your boss. Don't be keen to do a tit for tat, because that is not going to help you in the long run. Tit for tat may help you for a day or two, or for a month or two, or for job to job. But in the long run, your composure, your calm, your attitude is something which will take you far away and will help you to achieve greater heights. So empathy, calmness, integrity, and all those 5, 7, 10 things which I've been talking many a times is something I would like to press upon once again.
Absolutely. I'm sure the audience has got the cue, and the youth today definitely we need to manage the anger pretty much, because today, the youth today is very vulnerable, I must say that.
Right.
There are certain set of people who are very calm and composed, and they are more mature than their age. But definitely when you are once into the corporate world, you are amongst the public, you are among the people who may not know you, or who may not know what you are exactly feeling, maybe judging you on the basis of your reactions to the situations. So definitely that being calm and composed will definitely be the key there. And also, so we have another question that says that there could be certain times where there will be disagreements between co-workers, disagreements between the co-workers, the team that you're managing, or disagreement between a co-worker and the leader. So how should you handle that?
I think having differences of opinion is a very good thing for any company to happen. Differences of opinion helps you to have to bring a new perspective of judging and attacking a predefined problem. So if you have differences of opinion, that means you are on the right track. Of course, you need to handle that differences in a positive manner, but having a differences of opinion gives you a different outlook. It sometimes gives you the opportunity to think out of the box, because the thought process of each and every employee is different. What is important to you may not be important to me. What's important to me may not be important to someone else. So if we have a brainstorming session and ease out the differences by turning into constructive discussion, this is something which is very important in any organization across the globe. So differences of opinion, if any, is a good thing, but needs to be tackled in a productive manner.
Absolutely agreed with that, because the work culture of every company would be different. I mean, certain places you may come across people from the same background, or nationalities, ethnicities, and at certain places you may come across people from different culture and different backgrounds. So handling that smartly would definitely help the way move further. And there could be a lot of different opinions coming in from everybody. And these people who are from different backgrounds and cultures, the temperament could also be different. uh,
Right.
in the team, the group dynamics or the team dynamics that the leader is handling could be very different. So handling that also, any tips on that?
Very well pointed out. I have been dealing with so many nationalities, and trust me, it is so difficult to come to a common ground. Everyone, right from a Vietnamese to a Russian to a Chinese to a Japanese to a European, everyone has his own set of thinking. Few people are very rigid in their approach. Few people are flexible, who are ready to listen to you. But many a times, it's hell of a difficult task for me as a leader to come to a common platform. But at the end of the day, out of all these arguments, after all these differences of opinion, you turn out to be a very good colleague. You turn out to be very good friends with them. So all these things, again, I would say that all these difficult things help you to evolve as a much better person. So I've been experiencing this kind of challenges every now and then, discussing, coming to a common platform with people from different background, different education qualifications. I have people from legal, I have people from accounting, people from finance, people from IT, people from sales, people from marketing, people from business initiatives. So many people coming to a common platform is a difficult task, but this is what a true leadership is all about. This is what a true leader, through all his attributes, all his traits, can come and achieve a common goal. And of course, everyone is working in the betterment of the company. There are no personal differences. There are no personal interest. All the interests, all the decisions are taken in view of the benefit of the company. So at the end of the day, everyone's role is aligned. So this is what I was talking about, having clarity of goals, having clarity of vision, having collective efforts, collective responsibility takes you to places.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Very well summed up, sir, I must say. And really, thank you for your time today. And you have really summed up the entire, given us a lot of insight into what leadership is and how that should be carried out, and how one should behave as a leader, how one should start off when they are getting into a leadership position. So that has really given us a complete, wholesome approach on, the building up the leadership qualities and the skills required to get into the corporate world. I would also just like to thank all the attendees here who are present and who have taken the time out today to be with us. And I'm sure you must have got your takeaways to start off your corporate journey. We'll be having more such sessions which will help you better be prepared for the corporate world daily from Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. And Saturdays, you will be able to hear more speakers twice in a day. That would be 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. in the evening. I would also just like to make a small announcement here. We, as NASM, our support partner, would be organizing a Shamak dance session today evening. So, as we all know, we've been talking a lot of the fitness in the current situation. So, that is one of the fun sessions that the viewers can attend to. You can register by going on the social media handle of NASM. The registration link will be available there. And for further updates on mission skills, you can check our social media handles. That will be mission.skills on Instagram and Facebook, and NAMD NASM social media handles as well. Once again, I would just like to say my express sincere gratitude to Mr. Suyog sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with our viewers. I mean, it has really summed up very well. It has given us a lot of insight onto that. I would also just like to thank the entire organizing committee of Mission Skills for their continued support, and the entire team of NAMD and NASM to help us organize this. Thank you all. Thank you to all the attendees.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.